Hi people, welcome to our last episode of the Aniti Homosexuality Bill 2023 as community leaders share their opinions about the bill. I still have my guests, Ruby, Serrano, Bana, and my co-host LJ. My first question goes to LJ. LJ, what do you think the community should do in such times?
I think what the community needs to do is to understand that the bill is here, understand what the bill says and how they are going to be affected, and also be able to maneuver. I understand this is a very, very tough situation because 10 years ago we were actually fighting the 2014 Anti-Homosexuality Bill, and here we are again. So it might look like a cycle, but then we are resilient and we've been here before, and I'm very, very sure that we'll overcome this whole situation. But people just have to be alert, because there are so many people who are being used to come into the community and disorganize people, like this person who disorganized the entire community. So you just have to be aware of certain people and just understand the bill and the situation and just try to keep safe.
Bana, what should the community do in such times?
I think this is the moment to come together, literally. But then also, because the idea is, if we speak as one voice, to oppose the bill and oppose the provisions of this bill. But also on a personal level and individual level, I think let's check on each other. Let's check on, just say hi to a queer person. One thing I know about the LGBT community is there is that closeness, even if you don't stay together or you don't share, but the fact that someone is queer, they sort of become your family in a sort of way. So I think check on each other. Mental health is taking a downturn for lots of people. So text someone, call someone. Just check on them. 90% of LGBT people are not really activists per se. They're just people living their lives, yeah. So in their day-to-day lives, they are hearing all this misinformation, all this hate speech, and we need to be there for each other to counter that hate speech, to share the right information, to update each other so that we are all on the same page, yeah. And also, because also if for someone gets in trouble, it's easier for us to come together and support them. Yeah.
Also, just some gossip and
yeah.
Serrano, what should the community do?
I'd like to quote from Asata Shakur of what the community should be doing right now. It is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love and support each other. We have nothing to lose but our chains. Let us work together as a movement, because the moment we are divided, that's why the enemy wants us. Mm-hmm. But when we speak as one voice, when we work as one voice, we are fighting that bill, and we are sure they're going to come out victorious and as winners.
Preach it! I know, right?
Ruby, what should the community do?
I think right now is a time first for leaders to not rush into doing certain things. Take a break, breathe, do self-care. Because this is not a time for panicking.
Yeah, true.
Do some self-care, go for a massage if you can. There was a word used, privileged. If you're privileged enough to afford the massage, go for the massage. Just first take care of yourself mentally, because this is not for the weak-hearted at all. Second of all, jokes aside, I think right now we keep saying it is the time now, us as leaders, now to reach out to our members, to reach out to the community, as everyone has shared. Check in on your members. If you're affiliated with an organization or an entity, check in. however much they won't want to pick or they're scared, but they're not picking because they don't want to. They're just scared. So check in on their mental health, check in and just show the care and love that we are here, and truth is we're not going anywhere because this is who we are. We're not going anywhere. We're stuck here and we're Ugandans. We can't change that in any way. I was born, raised here, I've lived here all my life. I don't even dream of moving to go anywhere else because I feel I'll miss Matoke and G-nuts and Mukene and all these things and Umonde, and you're going to get these things elsewhere. But then when it comes to the children, I'm a parent, so I'll talk about that. For community members who are parents, I think it's time you loved your children more, and it's time you know why we're doing the work we are doing. It is for our children to find a better environment than what we found. So if you're a parent, just love them more, and let's try to create a better environment for them that is not as harsh as what we're facing right now. Yeah, and crack jokes, as the Saran said.
Gossip.
Crack jokes, gossip, call it, do the gamba, gossip, and because what else can we do during this time? Yeah.
Okay. What do you think the queer community should do in case the bill is passed or not?
For me, I think I'm the glass half full kind of person. For sorry to say this, but there are other queer people who have it worse in other countries. So for one, I think we can adopt. We can adopt and fight. So adopting means how do we be creative around working, organizing, and being ourselves even in this weird environment. But second, how do we fight moving forward? What are our strategies? Of course, there is the law, there is challenging it in court, but also how do we challenge public opinion? How do we challenge perspectives of people on the bill? Because the bill has exposed a lot of homophobia, and also it has scared a lot of allies. I mean, people who would have supported us, who would have been even reluctant allies, not people who are like, we are pro-gay, but even people who would have supported us in their quiet spaces cannot do it because the bill criminalizes them, their support of other queer people. So how do we change hearts and minds, and how do we consolidate allies, how do we consolidate the community to come together to speak as one? But then also, how do we adapt? Because I mean, the law, if the president assents to the law, there is nothing we can do at that moment that he assents to the law. So how do we adapt? How do we work? We need to be thinking about that now, and be having plans for community members, for community leaders, and everyone else on how we would do that. But also to speak in one voice. I know, like any other community or any other space, like there's people who have different opinions, different views on how to do things. But moving forward, I'm hopeful that we can speak up as one people, but also figure out how to adapt and be creative around it. I'm excited for new stuff, new ways. I mean, there's queer people in Afghanistan, and they are living, they are thriving, they are being themselves, which is a war zone, which is a worse place to live. So how do we organize? How do we work together? How best do we move on? Yeah.
When he signs the bill, we should plan as a community, get together as a community and plan on how the community is supposed to move on. Because him signing the bill does not make us stop doing the work that we do. Because there are people that are our beneficiaries. That doesn't stop us from providing the services, doing the work that we do for the community that we belong to. I do believe as a community we should actually right now be planning on what to be doing in case he signs, not wait for him to sign, then get into panic of what should we do now. we should be planning as a community. In case he signs the bill, what's next for us? What's next for us in terms of safety and protection of queer people? Because if he signs the bill, the way it is right now, we are going to be reported. So what do we do if we report it? There should be a plan in terms of a safety for human rights defenders, because we know they're at the front line fighting for the rights of queer people. What do we do if a human rights defender is arrested? You get? What do we do for continuity of service delivery? Because a person living with HIV has to keep on getting their medication even with the bill passed. What do we do if it is passed to ensure that
they're still getting the services?
So it's basically planning and not getting into panic, because when you get into panic, all these things that you have planned, all these things that you've envisioned for all this while won't get into action. So let's plan, have good plans, actually have better plans if he signs the bill.
I think we just need to sit down, start planning now, so that we don't get into have panic attacks and then it's out and we are all running like headless chickens. But then also we need to now think as one. Earlier on someone mentioned that when there's a crack somewhere in the community or within the movement, it exposes us to our opposition. And that's why they can enter and just dismantle all of us and break us. So I think we need to plaster on every crack everywhere. And then also at the end of it all, we are human beings, and as leaders there are people out there who are not as privileged as we are. We mentioned that earlier. Who are so bliss. Like so bliss. Like they don't even know what's going on. You know? We need to find a way of reaching that community, within the community. We need to find a way of giving them the information that they are not receiving. So that, because one person being, with our community, it's a very small community. If they get one person's, let's say, phone, the whole community is received. So this one person could be a link to all of us. Like even the one in the deepest village who has no access to a smartphone is able to get this information. I know, right now it's not a time for me as a trans woman to be flamboyant within the community bar, to start, selling sex openly to the community bar. I think we need to also, because we're some of us are now speaking like from a point of privilege. So I want to talk about now those who are sex workers. We need to find a way of helping them do their business safely, because they may be our weak link in this work that we are doing in case the bill is passed. Because if I'm a sex worker, I'm not going to starve in the house, yet I have something to sell and I get food and feed my belly. So as if this bill is passed, we need to, right now, before even it's passed, we need to figure out a way where we can seal. I don't know, I failed to find the right sentence to use, so forgive my French. Tusereka enyumba yaffe nga tewali awatirika. There's no, because those small, they look small, but those are the things that will be used against us. The sex work movement, they look small and they look like things that we can look past, but they can be used against us. So let's re-strategize. Let's take care of our mental health first and foremost, because we cannot serve if we are panicking, if we are depressed or we're having issues. Let's look into that. But then also, let's when there's heat, people get angry and frustrated easily. That's why I keep emphasizing on self-care. Let us not get angry, because it's bound to happen. We're going to have people getting on our last nerves if this bill is signed. And even when it's not signed, already village community members have been instilled this wrong information. It's not going to be easy. If it's not signed, we're being realistic. Already people have taken in this very wrong information. It doesn't matter. Someone can pass by you on the road and just look at you and just hit you.
Oh yeah.
Right now, that's the realistic part of this.
And
that even if it is, and it is happening,
Yeah.
that even if it's not signed, already people have been fed this homophobic wrong information that they've interpreted in a different way. So whether signed or not, we have to be prepared and still re-strategize as a movement and as a community.
I think for me, I'll just summarize because Ruby, Saran, and Bana have mentioned most of the strategies. However, I would emphasize, as we are waiting for the community leaders to maybe probably give us the plans on a personal level, you should be able to have your own plan, right? Yes, as you wait for the bigger communication, because we have been here before. In 2014 the bill was signed by the president himself and we saw a lot of backlash. So to me, we cannot wait until we get to that point, because we all know that he sent back the recommendations, but then the recommendations themselves, they were like,
There's not
They're even harsher.
They're even harsh.
exactly. So we are not going to sit down and wait for Parliament to maybe go through the recommendations, but what do we have on ground as per now, and what have we prepared between now and that time when the president will sign the bill? So all these things have to be like
In sync.
yes.
That is, if he signs the bill, we don't want to give him that power that will actually sign the bill.
But remember, like, if he sends back those recommendations to Parliament and Parliament goes through the recommendations, they have to send it back to him. So it is more of a circus. But then we as the community, what are we doing within that period? Because it also shows that they are literally playing, like we are literally just
Tom and Jerry.
bouncing, yes.
We are on that volleyball court.
Yes. So until when we get to that point, what are we doing as a community? So
What systems have we
Put in
built
place.
up?
exactly.
Yeah.
So
How prepared are we? Even now, because even when the bill came, I think none of us
Yes.
were honestly prepared.
exactly.
What is scary is because the donors were unprepared and because we were not prepared, they are sort of deciding for us where is the funding going, how do we use the funding. It is scary and very annoying because we are the ones best placed to say, okay, this is our priority at the moment, yeah. But because of course the donors have their own targets, their own setting, and because we were not prepared for this situation, there are no emergency funds, there are no stashes somewhere for people to access when they need asylum, when they need relocation. It's been a mess at the moment, and so right now is the time to consolidate with the donors and also the community on those issues of dealing with emergency response. And it is something we didn't do then, and we are not yet really equipped at the moment to do.
Because in the previous bill, like when it was passed, we saw a lot of international help and responses and everything, which
And
is
now
kind of,
it's
yeah, which is different from now. And right now there are more of restrictions. Donors are more worried about their money.
Oh yeah.
Like, if we inject this money into your organization, are you going to be able to do these things? So they're also kind of holding back because they're not sure of how you're going to spend their money. So it's kind of challenging at the moment.
In case the president signs this bill, it's going to affect not just Uganda in general, but even neighboring countries and other African countries. It will give other presidents the power, because initially we've had what just recently happened, that someone who attended a conference here, a representative of Kenya, an MP, has done a copy and paste and made it even worse, and is going to introduce the same bill. So I feel like if this bill is then signed, it is going to give other presidents and it's going to put other countries into harm's way and other communities within Africa into harm's way. So it's not just going to affect us as Ugandans.
Yeah.
So personally, I would even just be telling other community leaders, like, beyond Uganda, to start re-strategizing, because
what's happening
what is happening here is bound to
happen.
happen, and we just celebrated Kenya, you know.
The courts,
we just
registering.
Yes, and they were now able to register as NGOs and as CBOs because their bureau accepted this. And after the celebration, boom, someone comes and says, I'm introducing the Anti-Homosexuality Bill. So all those other communities that are beyond Uganda should also start preparing and start re-strategizing.
Thank you so much, our guests, for accepting our invite. Serrano, Bana, Ruby, we appreciate you people. We appreciate the work you've done for the community and the work you're still doing. And we wish you the best.
Do not forget to follow our social media handles on Twitter at QueerPrism256, as well as Instagram, and on Facebook it's LBQ Women 256, and on YouTube it's Queer Prism 256 podcast. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye.